Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Okay, if you're the kind of person who really loves to pull back the curtain and deconstruct how the world actually works, you are definitely in the right place today. We're unpacking a fascinating and honestly pretty provocative piece of source material that makes a massive claim. It essentially argues that a 500-year-old book, Niccolo Machiavelli's The Prince, isn't just some dusty historical text you read in college, but is actually a hidden, hyper-effective manual for wealth, power, and modern success. The source we're looking at breaks down what it calls the 9 dangerous secrets of the elite. So we're going to visualize exactly what this source is arguing, how it applies these centuries-old political strategies to modern wealth creation, and why it claims the ultra-rich absolutely do not want you to know about it.
Okay, let's dive into this. The source material kicks off with a hook that gets right to the core of human ambition. It asks, why do some people always seem to win? Why do certain individuals just effortlessly climb to the top of the financial and corporate ladders while others grind away and struggle? The source material posits a wildly fascinating theory. It asks whether the real reason the elite succeed isn't because of raw talent or even luck, but because they are quietly utilizing these 500-year-old tactical maneuvers. It literally frames the prince as the ultimate blueprint for victory in any competitive arena.
To unpack these secrets, we've structured our explainer into 5 key areas, derived straight from the source. Number 1, the elite's secret playbook. Number 2, gaining and keeping power. Number 3, the fear versus love dilemma. Number 4, protecting against fake loyalty. And number 5, the brutal truths of human nature. These are supposedly the lessons you are deliberately never taught in school.
Right, starting off with Section 1, the elite's secret playbook.
So, the source material fundamentally reframes how we should even look at Machiavelli. Instead of seeing him just as some Renaissance diplomat, it argues his writings are actively used today as a forbidden, secret playbook by the world's most powerful people. To really grasp this, we need to redefine a word you've definitely heard before. When the source talks about being Machiavellian today, actually scratch the idea of kings and castles entirely. In modern terms, it defines this as the strategic pursuit and maintenance of money, influence, and control. It's all about a mindset that consistently prioritizes cold, hard pragmatism over traditional morality. The whole argument here is that in the modern corporate and financial world, the folks who reach the absolute top are operating on a completely different moral framework than the rest of us.
Let's move to and see how this builds over time. So, 500 years ago, The Prince was written as a pure survival guide for rulers facing constant assassination and war, which, was basically a typical Tuesday in 16th century Italy. But over the centuries, the source claims, the global elite realized these exact same tactics worked perfectly in banking, business, and politics, keeping the strategies a closely guarded secret. And today, the material asserts these rules are applied as the ultimate, unfiltered guide to generating massive wealth and social influence.
Which brings us to Section 2, gaining and keeping power.
According to the source, acquiring wealth or snagging a high position is really only half the battle. The real challenge, and where these 9 secrets allegedly come into full play, is keeping that power once you actually have it. Notice how the abstract philosophy is translated into pure action here? The source argues that successful people use Machiavelli's historical lessons to master the true art of decision-making under intense pressure. I mean, when billions of dollars are on the line, or when a massive corporate takeover is happening, the elite don't rely on emotion. No way. They rely on ruthless, calculated effectiveness. The text suggests that the secrets in The Prince allow these leaders to detach from their feelings completely and make the most strategic choice, no matter how unpopular or brutally difficult it might be.
This quote from the source material really sums up the modern application perfectly. The real game behind money, influence, and control. By calling it a game, the source elevates Machiavelli's rules from simple political survival into a high-stakes modern competition for wealth generation. It heavily implies that if you don't know the rules of this hidden game, well, you're simply a pawn being played by those who do.
Moving on to Section 3, the fear versus love dilemma. Now, this tackles perhaps the most infamous and heavily debated concept in all of Machiavelli's writings, and this brilliantly illustrates the divide we're talking about. On the left side, we have conventional wisdom, the idea that to be a successful leader or business person, you should really aim to be loved by everyone. We're taught from day one to be liked, to be agreeable, right? But on the right, the Machiavellian strategy actively and aggressively rejects that, advocating instead for instilling calculated fear. The source material argues that while being loved is certainly nice, it's also incredibly fragile. Love can literally be withdrawn the second you do something unpopular. Fear, on the other hand, is a primal lever of control. So the absolutely crucial point here is understanding the psychology behind this. The source neutrally unpacks exactly why the elite allegedly prefer fear to secure their wealth and positions. According to this perspective, human beings are inherently self-serving. If they only love you, they might still betray you the second a better offer comes along. But if they fear the consequences of crossing you, that fear is going to keep them in line even when they are severely tempted to act against you. Think about your own corporate environment for a second. It's a pretty dark view of psychology for sure, but it's one the source claims is a daily reality at the highest echelons of success.
Let's transition to Section 4, Protecting Against Fake Loyalty.
Now, if you are operating under the assumption that people are primarily self-serving, then your entire defensive mindset has to shift if you want to survive at the top. The material breaks this defense down into 3 very specific, highly protective strategies. Step 1, question all loyalty. Literally, never assume someone is with you just because they say they are. Step 2, test allies through pressure. The source suggests that true loyalty is only ever revealed when things go wrong, so the elite will actually sometimes artificially create pressure just to see who breaks and who stands firm. And step 3, proactively guard against betrayal. Don't wait around to be stabbed in the back. Set up systems, airtight contracts, and power structures that make betraying you incredibly painful or basically impossible for the other person.
Finally, Section 5, Brutal Truths of Human Nature.
I want to prep you here because we are about to report the source's absolute darkest, most cynical observations yet. Let's fire through these foundational beliefs that supposedly allow the elite to execute their tactics without flinching. First, people are primarily self-interested. No matter what they claim to your face, their ultimate goal is their own advancement. Second, loyalty is easily broken when convenient. It's not some sacred bond, it's a purely transactional agreement that lasts only exactly as long as it's mutually beneficial. And third, morality is often just an illusion in the pursuit of power. The material argues that concepts of right and wrong are often just tools used by the powerful to keep the masses in check, while the elite themselves operate entirely outside those boundaries.
To summarize the core ethos of everything we've just covered, we have this wildly powerful quote straight from the source's description. Lessons that were never taught in school, but are used every single day by the world's most powerful. This completely captures the whole secret manual narrative arc we've been tracking. The entire premise rests on the idea that there is a highly visible world with rules for everyday people and a hidden, totally ruthless world with an entirely different set of rules for those who actually hold the strings of wealth and influence.
And that leaves us with this final, incredibly provocative question to ponder. Are these 500-year-old tactics truly the secret to modern wealth? Are the absolute highest echelons of society really just playing a highly polished corporate version of a 16th century power game? Well, the source material makes a compelling, if deeply cynical case that they are. Whether you find these strategies pragmatically genius or entirely unethical, understanding the psychology behind them undeniably changes how you view power, money, and success. It's a lot to think about, and it certainly makes you look at the world's elite through a very different lens. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and as always, keep questioning the world around you.